Dude, so I've never sat here and the perspective is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
I always sit there because otherwise if I turn my head I get pain, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, the me, when it drops, is it just a change in perspective, an entire change in perspective?
Well, no.
Seeing still happens.
Well, no perspective. Yeah.
I think Andrea's book might be called that as well.
Oh, right.
I think
okay.
possibly, I don't know.
Yeah.
No point to perspective or something.
Sorry about that.
Don't worry. No, that's good. No perspective. That's good. Yeah. No perspective.
There's no perspective.
He gets around, Andreas. Good old Andreas.
Say that.
Like, is it really in a way that
Good words.
like really no perspective because there's no distance. It's it's immediately.
Yeah.
It's there's no separation from what's happening. Something.
There's no something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just what
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Just really separation, like location. This sense of location.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
It just becomes completely unimportant.
yeah.
It's all of those things are very important to me. And the sense of location, that's important. And sense of story of my life, that's very important. And all of those other things, seeking, very important. You're on a mission, and then all of that becomes completely drained of importance, and it becomes completely irrelevant. But all of those things seem very important to me. So me really finds that kind of thing, and then all this is just simply that isn't important. Nothing is important.
Like when you say important, do you mean as a sort of an energetic importance, or an actual
Significance.
like an actual sort of conceptual importance, significance, or an energetic sort of?
What you're talking about is in a way it's a story. So it's about making something significant in a story. The story itself isn't significant, so and the me is not. It's the energy of me if it wants to be the significant centre of that story, or just seems to be the significant centre of that story. Without that, just a story, empty. It's empty, kind of empty. The importance of location is full with me. Then it just becomes empty. Location. Who cares?
Going on holidays is about location.
Is it going on
I was just
holidays?
asking.
Going on holidays.
Changing
Yeah, well, I don't know what
You were talking about location.
Yeah.
The whole Brighton seems to be going on holiday.
Yeah.
So location's about advantage.
Well, how do you mean advantage? Advantage over what?
What am I doing here? What advantage can I?
What advantage can you get?
Yeah.
Right.
Gain.
I could be at.
Well, what you mean, if you were somewhere else, there would be a more of an advantage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or
Yes. Well, yes. It's part of the story of there being somewhere to go where you could get something. I will take myself, like you're putting yourself on a lead. I'm going to take myself for a walk. People actually say that. I'm going to take myself for a walk now. How are you going to do that? It is an amazing turn of phrase, that.
It's a better experience, I suppose. You could say that.
Yeah.
You're seeking a better experience.
Yeah. Yes, it's seeking better experience, yeah. So there's A and then there's B. Maybe B can be holiday, going on holiday. I'm going to go on holiday and I'm going to, that's going to be where I'm going to find what I'm looking for.
No, you know, like I might take myself on holiday. There seems to be a witness that's going to organise the holiday, and then the holiday is going to happen. Yeah.
Several me's involved.
Many.
Yeah, but it's a split. It's like you know.
Schizophrenia of the me state.
Yeah. Well, that's that so-called condition. You know, multiple personality disorder.
We're all there. We're all
There's everybody's split, or the me is split into many, you know, into essentially a Cerberus type of
three-headed.
yeah, so that sort of it's that you know. You cut a head off and it was two more heads.
Well, funny you should mention that. Since yesterday, you were talking about pets, cats in particular. You said dog. So cats and dogs. When you die, I've died in this house.
Yeah.
And then a pet.
Yeah.
It's long enough, the pet will start to eat you. Presuming that's because the energy's left the body. It's just a lump of meat.
Yeah. Well, yes.
There's nothing in the thing. It's just flesh, isn't it?
It's just
You know, it's decaying flesh.
Yeah,
It's not
but I mean, I always, I mean, the context was that there wasn't the importance that the me places on, or imagine how the dog or cat is, you know, in relation to me. It's seen as being a relationship. So you know, you don't get a dog or a cat going to a funeral home and saying, right, I want to bury my owner, please. You don't have that.
Does that not happen?
No.
Okay.
This doesn't seem to happen.
I mean, it's kind of naive to it, isn't it? That they have this. It's just somebody that feeds it and walks it. And they're going to work for that because they know they're going to get fed.
There's a attachment, there's a sense of, or connection, there's an energetic connection, of course, but it's not the way that the me says, this is my dog, my cat, you know, the way, you know, the interactions are not what it seems.
It knows its own name and
exactly.
Anyway.
And it's like a you know, sorry to bring up, you know, the David Attenborough process that happens.
I wish you wouldn't keep besmirching this gorgeous man.
But anyway, it's the energy of that. It's the same energy of telling a story about something where there was never a story.
Yeah. But there's a consideration also that it might be something a bit deeper, because in elephants they have burial not burial, where they die, and their bones are there, and ancestors will come and...
Yeah, sure. But there is not, we don't know what that is.
No, exactly. We would just assign a story to
just
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we overlay what we think it means.
Yeah. Especially interested with that David Attenborough. I think Tony told a story where these chicks had to jump out of a nest, and the narrator was saying these chicks have got to work up their courage to jump out the nest.
It's ridiculous.
Before you dropped away, so to speak, did you find language absurd? Like when I'm on WhatsApp and it's going to me, it's like people always say, well, I'm in Japan or I'm in Australia. Use the word I. You know, I can't come to me because I'm somewhere else.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's sort of a way language is used. You know, this will say I quite easily. You know, there's no problem about saying I. You know.
But did you find it? The
I
language
don't have a problem with the language. It's in a way sort of how if the language is then telling a story about me, that's a different way that the language.
And did you perceive that more before you dropped away, or more since?
Since I dropped away, then it was much more apparent. The me sort of seemed to. It was I recognised that more. But I think that just the use of the language does seem to change in a way. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about any of that. He's not. You don't worry about saying certain words because if you don't, forget it. It's not. I mean, it's just. Saying the right words does not have anything to do with this at all.
Mm.
I think sometimes people come to these meetings and think they have to change their language a little
Yeah,
bit.
exactly. yeah, and that happens a lot.
That happens a lot.
People start
We
saying
start speaking a different.
apparently after every word or
My me does this and that.
yeah.
My what? My me?
My me. Like I might be saying my me did this yesterday.
Because it would, but it's a total innocence of a sense of like of the me finding a strategy. I now know how to do it. I just have to say the right words. Fake it till you make it. Yeah. You know that.
I do.
Phraseology. That's the idea. No, but it's a good. It's seen as being a method.
Methodology.
Yeah.
But also being on Zoom is there's the fear of saying the wrong thing. You have that fear and of being seen. Oh, there, she's still there. It's like these funny things that come up.
Yeah.
But that just goes away as well. It just doesn't come up after.
Yeah. And this, will still. There's still less. Is it from a different way of looking at it? But this will still sometimes listen to speakers, because there's just a love of that.
Yes,
individual to that person talking and feeling and what's expressed and that's less because it's less of a need. There was always a need. It's a certain real that I had to before. There's a very strong need to be in that, but it doesn't doesn't matter.
Yes, the same with the language, the correct language.
That's it.
Just suddenly it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
It's like
exactly. All of this stuff. There's nothing that matters really.
Mm.
There's nothing that's important or significant that is, going to solve this, and also that needs to be carried.
And it's
that's the thing. We carry all of this kind of importance and significance.
It's a heaviness.
That's heavy. It's
Yes,
heavy, exactly. It's very heavy.
Well, it becomes sort of like the rituals of the you see people tying themselves in knots in order not to say me or I. And you think, oh my God, it's like this is the sort of order of Tony Parsons or whoever. You do not say me or I.
But no, that is ridiculous. Yeah. Because I mean, it's not. It doesn't come. Yes, it doesn't come. I mean, when this is being directly communicated in this way, then it's sort of there's a certain words seem to be better than others. And I think that Tony's vocabulary in a way is kind of very clear. That's the thing. It's a lot of those things that weren't so clear have left, and then it just sort of comes through with similar words, but they're not the right words. There is no right in this, and they're not. They're just not the right words.
thinking when Simon was talking earlier on there about just how it can seem that separation energy can, just by being separate, can suck the aliveness out of everything. Like the slight separationness from, to be feeling separate from everything.
Yeah.
And when it's no separation from anything anymore, it's just,
yeah,
it's the like the separation just seems to veil the aliveness. It's like an energetic sort of force field in a way. It just seems to it's by just being just being energetically separate from.
I mean, it's not really separate.
Yeah.
But yes, the way that I would say that is that the seeming contraction of me is a contraction of the senses as well. There's a sensual contraction.
Yeah, it sort of makes something feel like it's separate from everything else.
Yes,
it's something energetically sort of energetically separates from, because it's an energetic separation.
It's not separate. Separation. It seems like,
but it's an energetic seeming separate. It seems to give the impression of being separate from everything. Yeah. And by that seems to suck the aliveness out of, because it's slightly apart from, energetically seems to be slightly apart from everything else. It's sort of, in a way, it sort of feels back from and sort of cut off from. It's like an attention. There's a sort of a
it's contraction.
Yeah, because in a way it feels separate. The energy feels separate from everything, so it's kind of, it energetically feels separate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's an energetic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's an illusion.
Yeah.
But it has its own autonomy.
No. How do you mean it has? It's its own autonomy. There is no it.
Yeah.
There. So there's no it's just what's happening.
So what did you say about the senses though? You say in a contracted state the senses are less?
I would say that I would say that there's energy that is in that sort of that contraction that is the system is less efficient. So there's not so much. There's just not an open flow of energy in a way.
So the energy is being used to
in a way, yeah.
And with that lack of contraction, then the energy is free to roam.
It's just and it's clear here that there is a sensual opening in a certain way. The senses just feel a bit more open. For some people, I mean, I'm just speaking from here. You know, it may be that other people there's no particular difference at all.
Potentially it could be too much as well, I guess. That opening.
Well, maybe, yeah. Because it seems very it's the aliveness is very alive.
It's kind of out of control, isn't it?
Yeah,
as opposed to being contracted.
Yeah, it's not in control, and it's quite a sort of it's naked.
Yeah.
Seems to know the tension to sort of even, like the same way it sucks the aliveness out, it seems to suck the aliveness out of everything else. It seems to suck sort of dampen this. It does seem to dampen the senses in the way of the.
Well, what you're talking about it doesn't suck the aliveness out, but there's a sensual dampening, yes.
Yeah,
which is the veil of what you're describing.
Because I said to Kenneth once at the meeting, I just was at work one day, we were just working, and my friend who had just working, and he asked me a question. He just was standing there and he just spoke, and I was just stunned. It was like I'd never heard him speaking before.
Yeah.
It was the clarity.
Yeah.
It was like, we said the same words. How can that?
Yeah.
And then I answered him, and I'd never heard
your voice, or that's voice before, yeah.
But when he spoke, it was the fullness and the clarity of the sound.
Yeah. It's everything.
I thought something happened to my ears. I thought my ears popped or something.
Yeah.
And then when I spoke back to him, it was the same clarity, and then it was just like the senses in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is new.
Mm.
Yeah, everything's new. It's just this is newness.
Yeah. I know it's like, so you can see that energy like a sort of a buffering. It's a sort of a. It seems to.
In a way, yeah.
You can call it whatever way you want. It does seem to sort of senses.
Yeah. It's I think that me wants to make that into a thing, something that is like it always, in a way, even when we're talking about me, it wants to make me into a real thing. That is not just a sort of just a state of energetic.
So you're saying that the energy that's taken to maintain the me is dulling our natural senses.
That is me. Yeah. Me is a sort of dulling down in a way of what is. It's a dull. I would say that it's a sort of dullness.
So it could be said that somebody who was fairly quiet, shy, whatever, could fall away and just become this complete
clear clarity, like
it's possible, but we're talking about something which is it's a sort of, it's possible that if there was a huge story that was completely opposite the nature of that person's expression, that when that me falls away, that story would also collapse as well, and that there would just be a completely different personality. But that isn't very often the case.
Normally the preferences stay the same.
Normally the preferences and the whole energetics of a person is it's exactly the same, and there's just some contracted energy which we're talking about here, which is just just a quality of illusory quality.
There was a woman who, I can't remember her name now, which is annoying, but who wrote a book, she was standing at a bus stop and me disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And she went all over the place. She went to psychiatrists, and she was completely freaked out. What's the matter? What's happened to me? Where have I gone?
Yeah.
And it took a long time before she met anybody who said, great.
Yeah.
When
when I was about 11 or 12, I went to I was concerned about something, and I went and my mother took me to a psychologist, because I said that there's a mist in front of me. I couldn't explain what I meant by that, but I said there's a mist. There's a mist there. And of course they then said that I had a dissociation disorder of some kind. but it was actually pretty clear that because when this fell away, that was no longer. There is a certain. It was a way of trying to describe separateness without knowing that that's what it was.
David, I told Elizabeth in the break that there's an aliveness that wasn't there before, there's an appreciation of nature that wasn't there before, and when I was in the story quite a lot more contracted, I couldn't even hear the lyrics of music, and I can go, oh yeah, this sounds...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because forever busy thinking something, you're not going to see things as they are, so to speak. So I can relate to definitely feeling dulled or distracted as well. Constantly.
It's funny. There's Tony often says there's no enlightenment. All there is light.
All there is
light.
Light. Okay.
Yeah, I love that. It's brilliant.
This contraction
Mm-hmm.
is totally involuntary.
Yes.
And there's nothing you can do to uncontract it. It just falls away if it falls away. So seeking is basically a complete waste of time.
Seeking is the me. So
that is the contraction.
It is the me. So there's no possibility of stopping seeking. If there's contraction, there's just seeking.
Okay.
The nature of me is seeking. It's an energy which seeks.
Yes. Yes. And that's what I'm in.
No, that is what
that's what's happening.
That's what's happening, and that's the me is that contraction. That the me is that seeking.
And
you can't see out of that seeking. The me can't see out of it. It's seeking to kind of go, oh, hang on, it tries to do that, of course. Meditation is like a big one for that. It will just kind of go, oh yeah,
look.
Yeah, I'm an observer now. Ha-ha! I've cracked this, you know. So that's good for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or 50 years.
Or
depending on the character.
Yeah.
It's just a great business model, isn't it?
Yeah, well.
The spiritual world processes.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Just try harder, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Pay me more money.
Yeah.
Keep going though. You're getting it wrong, Dave, do you know?
Well, pyramid marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Pyramid non-duality.
Yeah.
So can it actually fade? Like can it like go in and out, and like can the me structure?
Well, it does there. During sleep, there's no story, there's nothing. There's no me. Me every night.
Yeah.
There is no me. So that just points out that it's not a constant state. It is, it is something which is not a solid, real, absolute.
And then
yes, and all the way through the day, with certain different, when there's something that one is a person, there's a sort of extreme interest or engagement with something. It's no longer there. I mean, and sports people know that. It's a lot. It's very. You can't be. Hitting your. You can't have like a baseball coming towards you at 200 miles an hour, whatever it is, and be in me. It's just impossible. So those things where there's a sort of complete engagement. And it's certain extreme situations, accidents, things like that. People will very often say that there's it all just suddenly goes. There's an immediacy.
And you don't think you can do that in meditation?
You can't do anything.
In the meditative state.
Yeah.
If you're not obviously, if you're engaged in self-inquiry, there's a conversation happening in your head. But am I deluding myself in those moments of meditation where there's just the senses?
Well, no, it's not. There's there's always an observer, or there's always something that is sort of maintaining that state. This doesn't require maintenance. This is just what is without any kind of maintenance.
But sometimes when I'm meditating, I feel like that.
Mm.
Like there's.
Well, if you're doing it.
No, but I don't feel like I'm doing it. I feel like it's just that.
Okay. Well, that's that might.
But then obviously something comes in and goes, ooh, look what we're doing.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah. It's there's a subtle. It's a tricky bugger. Yeah, I mean it's
fuckery afoot.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's that those states that you're talking about are that there are people that really live in those sort of states. That they're in that sort of state. There's a maintenance going on, but on a very subtle level, and people will then say that they're enlightened. I'm enlightened. That's and I've reached a certain and they'll call themselves
But there is also a
Shri
sense of
something or
there is a certain relaxation and lack of suffering, and so there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, yeah, but it's a kind of it is actually a kind of detachment.
Spiritual bypass, isn't it, really?
Yeah, although well, it is a bypass. I mean, there isn't a spiritual, but it is a sort of it is a sort of a spiritual bypassing. I'm just trying to get my head around that.
I think what's meant by spiritual bypassing is that they're using a methodology to think they're enlightened, but actually they're completely bypassing everything to be in this state that they realise they work really hard to maintain.
But there is there's no enlightenment.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But
so I mean, if bypassing would mean that there is a way to get there.
Yeah.
And there isn't.
Yeah.
So actually, you see what I mean?
So it's complete bollocks, Yes.
It seems to really make sense in a way energetically here how that like that sense of location and being someone, like it's an attention. It's like it's sort of energetically attention is being paid. It's
or it's intention.
Yeah,
as well. Yeah.
Like it has to sort of cloud in a way everything, because it's sort of an attention being. It's like a switched onness. It's the whole like it's paying attention to itself. It's energetically switched onness in the body. It seems logical that it would sort of dampen everything, because it's sort of it's
so much energy.
It's two things happening. It's something else happening continually switched on.
But it's very clear that the human brain, the human body, that the brain is very commonly known that the brain uses a huge amount of energy. And that what's going on, there's a huge amount of energy involved in meing. So if there isn't so much energy involved in that, then actually there's an openness. The senses that are not sort of impacted by that sort of over storying the me story. You could you see it in that way. This is all a story of what I'm describing is all a story, but it's just a way of describing what it is we're talking about.
So the energy is therefore available for other stuff.
Yeah, it's freeing up. It's a freeing up. Unblocking, yeah, in a way, yeah. Or, something seems to dissolve.
Like that tension, sort of, I can't even articulate it. Like that
You
sort
can't,
of,
you
that
can't
sense of,
articulate, and there is no possibility of articulating this in the right way. Even if you could get exactly the right words to describe this, it wouldn't help.
yeah.
It's unknowable, wonderfully unknowable, you know, because the knowing just perpetuates the story. You know.
I love your use of the word maintenance. I mean, it just resonates.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I might get up and think, what was that word you said? I can't fucking remember.
Yeah, I mean, Jim uses that a lot as well, I think. Jim says uses that word maintenance quite a lot.
Maintenance in what context? Maintenance of the need?
The non-requirement of any kind of maintenance. Yeah. I liked that word.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's very good. Yeah.
Maintenance free.
Yeah.
So you're maintenance free now, are you?
Well, there's no one to maintain it.
Yeah. So
there's nothing to make.
So the energy being released into other. Nice. It's just flowing better, I suppose.
It's more efficient. The body's more efficient.
Yeah.
Seems to be.
It's a film star next thing.
Can't be bothered with all that
Really,
shit.
that's a bit much, is it? It's exhausting.
Absolutely exhausting.
Okay. I'll work on something else for you.
Yeah, well, I need something else to do.
How do you feel in the arenas, mate?
But it's like the body doesn't need maintenance.
No, definitely not. It doesn't need a tinkerer.
So what?
A tinkerer, you know.
No, tinkerer.
You know, just no tinkering required.
Plumber.
And there's no tinkerer there.
Yes.
Because when you start talking about maintenance, there's a therapy called schema-focused therapy. And in that, core belief schemas get identified, and then we go into what is maintaining that schema, that belief system.
Right.
So yeah, maintenance definitely can take place, yeah, and has many, I think, ways, if you like. The me maintains itself in an infinite number of ways.
Oh yeah.
The whole fitness industry is based on maintenance.
Yeah, I mean maintaining the body. There's always about making progress. Doing your best. Trying harder. All of this kind of thing. Yeah.
Whereas without it, it's just done naturally.
The body just naturally, instinctively moves towards pleasurable sensation.
And away from pain, or not necessarily?
Yeah, away from pain, yeah. Naturally.
David, what you said about the mist.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always felt like it was foggy.
Yeah.
I couldn't see clearly, like it was. And
Exactly.
myself, I felt like I was like a blobber.
Yeah.
And everyone else, I felt like they were such strong kind of characters, and they knew what they were going to do, and they knew this and that, and I had no clue.
Yeah.
It's like,
Totally.
it's kind of uncomfortable, you know.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what's going on? You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Totally. Totally. Yeah.
And the mist might have something to do with brain fog. We were trying to get a bit thinking.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not the same.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that, and there is a quality of that, but it's in a sort of, you know, dis-ease state. But this was sort of more impossible to describe.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a
state.
It wasn't a real mist. Yeah.
I'll just ask you, you know all the things, we'll say, the music and the study for you, and like there seemed to be that sort of, am I right in saying there was a sort of a heavy blanket there all the time? So it was a sort of it's surprising that you did so many things in a way through seemingly all that.
It's
like the doing. I don't even mind it. The blanket seems to come from me. It's the real struggle to do anything.
Yeah.
You know,
I see what you mean.
It just sucks the life out of to do it.
So everything was desperate.
Yeah.
Everything, the motivation to do things was completely desperate. Everything that I did, everything that I went towards was as a drive of a desperation to understand something, you know, go towards some sort of pain or difficulty or whatever, of resolving some sort of pain or difficulty or whatever. You know, everything that I was doing in that. You know, trying to go towards Chinese medicine, you know, trying to go towards psychotropics, all of those things, whatever they was a desperate reaching
for whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
a release, fulfillment.
Yeah. Same
an
thing
answer.
with music. Same thing with all of that. All of it. Some of that, of course, there's an imbuement there of something that is natural for this body, but it's also then driven towards trying to find something.
Yeah.
You know, you can naturally just play music, or what a lot of people do is that they play music to an imaginary audience because they want that imaginary audience to love them, which I did for a long time.
It surprised me then when you described it in that way. Sorry.
What did you say about imaginary audience?
I just said that there's sometimes that you can play to an imaginary audience.
I don't understand what you mean by that. Sorry.
Play music.
Yeah.
You can play music to an imaginary audience.
In the doing of it, Brendan, there was a sort of an energetic sort of game going on that you weren't just doing it for the enjoyment, but there was somehow.
Oh, I see.
You know, you're sort of building a story around it that you were getting all this admiration, the audience, the sort of it was building up your sense of something. I think that's what you meant.
Yeah.
That happened to you as well. Because that happened to me quite a lot. I used to play guitar and sing.
Yeah.
And then I'd listen to some music that I really wanted to play, and now I'd imagine me playing it to my friends, and they'd be all impressed.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, that's the point. It's there's an imaginary audience.
I might go so far as to say there is often, if not always, some degree of imaginary audience accompanying me. So thought process, that would be nice. It's ongoing.
It's something which is associated with the me trying to find love. And there's a completely unrequited quality about it. They will never find love.
What does unrequited mean again?
Not given back.
Not
Or is that right? I think it's
unrequited. Yeah, it's not returned.
Not returned, exactly.
Yeah, not
so it's an unrequited quality.
Yeah.
Not returned with purpose.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it is a sense that of should I say, everything me does, all of the stories of me are all tragedies, because it never finds what it's looking for.
So conceptualization of unlovability and the me wanting love in the form of imaginary audience or whatever. Obviously, the me might think, "Oh, one day I will find that audience."
Yeah.
And obviously, it can't happen.
No.
Because it's a fantasy.
And that's the awful thing about for musicians, is that there's many musicians that are constantly trying to find love with their music, and then what happens if you don't get famous? So most musicians are not don't get to that fame that they're looking for, and so there's a difficulty in that for a huge
and also
pain.
actors
And actors,
and to be seen.
To be seen. If you're not
somebody.
seen, you're not loved. You're not going to get what you need.
But even as a child, I was always asking for my mother, watch me, needing
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Starts young. Yeah.
But the me feeds on attention. Like it needs the attention.
Yeah. And that's just the wonderful thing about this. This doesn't need anything. This is just what it is. And interestingly enough, when this sort of fell away, the need to perform fell away. The need to have a performance, to make to draw that, And there's an interesting, as being somebody who is interesting, and wow, that's really cool. You've got special skills. That makes you special. All of that gone. That is not necessary. It doesn't matter.
But it's curious because when you got something, some of this, like attention or when this happened, sometimes with me, I felt as I was fake. I was like very uncomfortable. I didn't like. I said, why is this happening like this? It's uncomfortable.
Yes. Because it's not needed.
The people are not seeing me, Like,
yes.
It's uncomfortable.
Yes, it's a need. It's all this need love. It's I need. But this is not that. This is this is inclusive of that, the contraction of me. All there is what is, including that quality of contraction. But what we're describing is not in need.
But for the me, it's never enough. Like if you get the thing you want.
Exactly. Even if fame is exactly the same, being famous as it is not being famous.
It's a tragedy.
A tragedy or a comedy. I feel the tragedy is also
because doesn't feel.
It feels like it. It's certainly a tragedy, yes, and at the same time, there's this comedic part because it's absolutely ridiculous. The story is ridiculous. So that's why tragedy turns into comedy, which it's.
But doing the act of creation doesn't have to be like that.
No.
Because I do sculpture, and there are times when you're in it, when you're doing something, when everything else disappears. So it's all you're doing is, and it doesn't matter what people think.
No.
Or whatever.
No.
So it sort of moves from one to the other, really.
Yeah.
I'm sure your music wasn't all about.
No. As I was saying, is that there is just a natural quality there of a natural love of the sound. You know, you could say love of the sound of the strings or whatever it is that's there, and that's just natural. But then there is the me quality that makes it mine.
Comes in.
That me or attach it.
Claims it.
Yeah, claims it, and this is it's just me.
Why do we care what people think?
Why? Well, because there's a me there that wants that. There's this me that sees that there's something to get. Approval, or yeah. There's that sense of deficiency that we were talking about. This sense that there's deficiency. So it seems to be filled by the other.
Yeah.
The other can fulfill. Yes.
Validation.
So the me is constantly looking for something all the time. While we're awake. Not in the dreams, in the woken dream state, we're always looking for something.
Yes.
Always.
The me is seeking.
Right, and it just drops. There's no, that must be, I mean, you say there's no difference, it sounds amazing, it sounds marvellous.
Well, it's wonderful for no one.
Yeah.
You know, that's the.
This is the rub. This is the paradox, isn't it? That I want it for me.
You want it for you.
I want to have a better experience
Exactly.
now.
But that's actually that's why this is not a message for me.
Yeah.
It's just there's just what is, and it's not for anybody.
Describe your tragedy comedy again.
I can't do that again. If you ask a question, I can do it. Yeah, but I won't be able to catch that one again. Yeah.
You said that the comedy, then tragedy translates to comedy. Well, that's what you said.
Yeah.
Can do.
Yes. So, yes. There's the meing seems to be a very tragic process, and there can be at one point there can be a laughter that is that comes out of the ridiculousness of the story.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
It's always seems a bit obvious to ask in a way. Just that sense of. Is it just that the sense of location, being located in here, two things happen, so that stops happening?
Say that one.
Like when there's a difference between feeling like you're somebody, is it that sense of two-ness, that location? Does that sense of location that collapses?
The sense of location is the me state. So that is completely unimportant. The necessity to think about or to try to find a localization becomes isn't so important anymore.
What do you mean by that? Like that there's no sense of location, or that this energy just around it?
There's no sense of there being a me. There's an absence of me.
Yes.
So there's no centre anymore.
Yeah, I get you.
Life without a centre.
Yeah.
They kind of rise together, don't they? I mean, the sense of I and I am here is sort of part of the same.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
You said about the mist, and I remembered that when I was much younger, there were some some moments like that everything was quiet suddenly and bright, but very normal, like but there's something different, like peaceful, like
yes.
And sometimes it occurs, and there was a Brazilian writer, and I found after that, and she spoke about that, and she called, I don't remember, but there was an expression very beautiful.
Okay.
Clarice Lispector is an amazing Brazilian writer. And I always connected with her because she said, yes, that's it. But
yes.
You said
yes,
remembered.
You remembered
yes,
yeah. I think it's. I think that the sensitive. This is a room full of really quite sensitive bodies. And I think that sensitivity has this kind of feel. There's a feeling which is attempted to be described in many ways.
It comes from nothing, like suddenly and very quickly to the last much, but it's just like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Where do you live?
Different places. Different places. I'm travelling quite a lot. I'm travelling.
Is it in London?
Sometimes I'm around London. Yeah.
Do you have a job?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, you have your.
He doesn't talk about it too much.
David, another slightly perhaps personal question. Did any of your eating habits change after?
I mean, I was always quite involved in that, with health and things like that. And towards the last few, quite a large period of that was actually sort of being interested in instinctive response. So I was, helping first of all with this body and then other bodies to sort of recognise instinctive eating patterns. So I was already quite involved in that, and so there wasn't much that changed, but there was, in a certain sense, addictive sort of patterns to eating as a sort of way of I'm not talking about really significant things, but there was sort of attraction to consume more than perhaps I needed or whatever, because there was something that was trying to fill a hole, So there was a bit of a shift like that, but not significantly.
So just following on from that, did other behaviours become more instinctive? Would you say you're acting more instinctively now?
Well, none of that changed very much. I mean, there wasn't a lot of, in a way that I was very interested in all of those things. I think that I was very interested in all of those things, body movement, all of those things. I was interested in instinctive health, in general. There was a movement towards that already. So when this just seemed to, when this me contraction seemed to fall away, there was just that. It was just not. There wasn't much to notice. But I'm sure that there's not really a questioning anymore. If there was, if there's slight questioning about, oh, should I do that? Oh, forget it. No, I'm just going to go towards what I want, towards what is desired. Just go towards it. It's not sort of like it wasn't much of a change. Yeah. But I imagine that if this sort of fell away for another body, there could be some changes that might ensue if there was just no engagement with what was sensed here.
Yeah, it would seem like for yourself it was almost running instinctively at that stage anyway, the whole system.
Well, I just in a way there was a lot of things that were naturally recognised that their preferences were I don't like that, I do like that, so that was easy, But I mean, it was that was a lifetime of sort of battering my head against the wall with trying to do things right, and then recognising that didn't was absolutely ridiculous. It wasn't that it was very clear to me that with listening to Tony's message and what was expressed in those meetings and the how and looking at health, natural health and all of that, and all of the things that seem to be this story here. It was very clear that health is instinctive. It's not something that you can do. So that was very clear here, and I was very interested in that and that kind of stuff.
And how about the feelings? It's like a softening or something that's appear as used to be, but for nobody. I don't know. Is there a softening?
Softening of feelings, like emotions.
Emotions.
Yeah,
emotions.
Yes. There's not a. I guess that the emotions can be more obvious, more strong feeling, but they're not they're spontaneous, and not. It doesn't sort of have a sort of. So it's just things seem to just spontaneously felt, and then they go. It's just gone after that. It doesn't seem to be as sticky. Or the me emotions tend to be quite sticky, That's what I remember.
But the intensity.
Intensity, yes, it can be intense. Yeah, sure. Yeah, can be. Yeah.
Well, the me tends to make a story out of that. I'm feeling like this, I'm feeling like that, and it kind of lingers on.
Yeah, it creates stories that are emotions are kind of like the most colourful aspects of stories.
Yeah.
The juice.
Yeah.
The juice of them.
Yeah. That's where the drama is, you know. It's all very colourful. Drama is the colour.
And it can get a bit shameless. Like the me can be quite shameless in its quest for validation, adulation, being seen.
Yeah. I mean,
shameless is a bit of a strange word, but it can take on any.
Yeah. Yes, it can have a very strong drive. Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And I found that even in isolation, just being on your own, it just goes down to a simmer. The me's not engaged in any social antics or anything like that, but all of it just simmers down to I'm still here. Next week we're going to do something else. Me describes me as we.
Yes. Me, myself, and I.
Sorry?
Me, myself, and I.
Ooh.
be a story here that this feels like, or has in the story always felt like very sensitive, like, and then the world is too much and it's too noisy and it's too like ooh, I don't know. That's not a question, but
I understand that. Very much. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah.
Yes.
Just sometimes the smallest things can be very kind of.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely understand that. Yeah. I think that I do feel that the majority of people that come towards this expression are really quite sensitive people, relative to what else is going on.
Yeah.
There seems to be a huge sensitivity that actually then somehow there's a recognition that something is off.
And yet that was seen as oversensitive by the
parents.
parents.
Of course.
It's too sensitive.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Awful.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. But is that something that changes in a way with a parent falling away? Like you just don't.
No, I don't think that changes. I think that's in a way physiological. But I think that what seems to change is the care.
Yeah.
I think there's
exactly
you don't care so much.
Mm-hmm. It's not seen as a problem anymore, or a fault within you, type of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not to be fixed.
Not to be fixed. There's no one to fix it. It's just what it is.
Yeah. It's kind of recognised as just that sensitivity. Actually, it's a sort of no. There's actually nothing wrong with me. There's just a sensitivity to something else, and that's why the normal things just don't seem. They just don't seem to sit right. Where I think anyway, that's myself.
Yeah.
It was kind of generally seen as a fault. There's something has to be. What is wrong with me? Why can't I walk right? What is? And then it's sort of seen. Well, no, actually. There's just that sensitivity. I think.
Is this lightness again instead of being a problem? That doesn't appear. It's just whatever.
This is the end of me's problems.
And there's no one wondering what others are thinking about it. Doesn't come up. Obviously, if they mention something, and there's a response. But
it's not about that anymore.
It's not about anybody really.
No, it's just what seems to happen.
Yes.
So all there is immediacy. All there is this. There's just this aliveness. All there is newness. All there is what's apparently happening. What is longed for is already everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.